General for Africa in the Departments of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs and Peace Operations. Ms. Pobi, we thank her very much for the valuable contribution. We also acknowledge the presence of the representatives of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda at this meeting. Over the last few weeks, we have borne witness to a spiral of relentless violence in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And we have seen how the commitments that were undertaken in different rounds of dialogue have simply been cast aside. In July, the M23 perpetrated massacres that claimed the lives of more than 140 civilians, mainly in Hutu communities, in one of the most deadly episodes since the reappearance of the group in 2021. In addition to this, the Allied Democratic Forces, linked to jihadist extremism, have stepped up their attacks in North Kivu and Ituri. This has claimed the lives of at least 52 civilians so far this month. One of the most chilling attacks occurred in Commander, where insurgents burst into a church during a nocturnal vigil and launched indiscriminate gunfire on those present, killing some 40 people, including women and children. This is all the more alarming because it happened at the same time as peace processes that were recently agreed, and the commitments undertaken are simply not being respected. The bilateral agreement between the DRC and Rwanda, signed in Washington on the 27th of June this year, set out clear commitments. The need for foreign troops to withdraw in a time frame of 90 days, the establishment of a joint security mechanism, and operations against the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda. Nevertheless, the initial time frames have already been breached. The joint mechanism has not met, the withdrawal of troops has not begun, and the operations to neutralize the militias have not begun either. In addition to this, on the 18th of August, the deadline for a definitive agreement between the government of the DRC and the M23 passed without a concrete result being reached. And although we do note the negotiations that have recently taken place thanks to the mediation from Qatar, the parties have not shown that they are pulling back on the ground. On the contrary, they're strengthening their military positions. This stark contrast between the commitments that have been signed and the reality on the ground is deeply concerning. Distinguished colleagues, the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of the Democratic Republic of the Congo are not negotiable. This Council has already on several occasions condemned the presence of unauthorized foreign forces and M23's attempts to impose parallel administrations. We repeat that any foreign military presence, unauthorized presence, must immediately withdraw. At the same time, armed groups, be they the M23, the Allied Democratic Forces, the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, or any other, must immediately cease their attacks and abide by the ceasefires. Neighboring states with influence on the ground have the responsibility to act in good faith, refraining from any support, be it direct or indirect, that fuels the conflict. For its part, the DRC should step up its efforts to dismantle all militias on its territory, fulfilling its commitment to neutralize the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda and guaranteeing its people's protection. On behalf of Panama, we categorically condemn the recent killings and all violations of human rights and international humanitarian law committed in the DRC. Impunity cannot prevail. The perpetrators of war crimes must be held accountable, regardless of their rank or affiliation. Distinguished colleagues, this Council must consider additional sanctions against those who finance or support armed groups. And the Council should also strengthen the monitoring and investigative mechanisms that can bring the perpetrators to justice. The people of the DRC deserve more than statements. They deserve peace, security, and dignity.